What do you think like the biggest misconceptions are with having a coach?
That all coaches are good.
All right, welcome back to Bespoke Endurance. Today is episode 21 of Recreational Rider to Racer podcast series, where Josh and I are transforming into racers, leveling up on the bike and in life in the midst of busy lives, work, and young families. If that is something that interests you, hit that subscribe button and follow us along on our journey. You will not be disappointed. I was waiting for you to go, no, you will not, but all right.
No, not this week. Yeah.
I'm just going to pause then.
You might be disappointed. It's fine.
All right. We both, I'm super excited. I know Josh is too. For this week. We have a special guest here in person with us. So the man who is behind Josh and I's training for the last 7 months now, he has put together the plans that have gotten us to our A races, gotten us through those. So here we have the mad scientist behind all the training plans, our coach, Mr. Derek Van Hoose. So Derek, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Derek,
it's exciting.
Is an elite cyclist, Category 1 racer, ranked nationally, been racing for nearly 10 years. So he brings a lot of experience to the table and bringing that to our training plans, which we're going to kind of dive into in this week's episode. So we are super stoked to have you on.
Thanks for coming on.
I'm glad I could finally make it.
Yeah. Well, okay. I think before we jump into kind of our main topic, I thought it'd be cool for anybody just to hear a little bit of your story. I think you have a fascinating story. You've got a military background. I mean, would love to hear just how you got into racing. You know, you obviously started at a beginner, and then now you're, Cat 1. So just kind of tell a little bit of your story, your cycling journey, and, kind of why you love racing and cycling in general.
Yeah, so my endurance journey, I guess, started with triathlons, like many cyclists.
That's right, baby.
Yeah. I think it was my mid-20s. I had been into like weightlifting and kind of realized it wasn't really a healthy lifestyle. I was carrying around like 40 pounds of muscle.
What were you up to at your highest?
203. I'm like 165 now.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
Yeah.
What was your max bench?
315. Yeah.
Oh, dang.
So yeah, I realized.
What's yours, Greg?
Silly.
Just real quick. What's yours? Is it more than the bar at this point, or are we still rocking just the bar?
To be determined.
TBD.
Next episode.
Next episode, we'll get into
Tune
that.
in for my max bench.
All right.
So yeah, it was kind of cold turkey. I was like, this is silly, and I think it was the broadcast of Ironman races. Like I'd watched. I don't know when. I don't know if it was childhood or at some point I'd seen those, and always had kind of an interest in like pushing myself. Like I thought that would be a challenge. So. Yeah, I was like, I'm going to do a triathlon. And so I lost.
What distance did you sign up for?
I started with a sprint.
Okay.
Yeah. So started running.
Did you win that sprint? I would not be shocked if you won it.
No, I did not.
I wouldn't be shocked at all if you told me, I ended up on
It's so funny.
ended up on the podium.
Right. I remember, I think it was the bike leg or maybe the running. One of them, I was like, oh my gosh, this hurts so bad. And I wanted to quit. And it's like, in hindsight, I mean, everything's pacing. So,
yeah.
But yeah, in hindsight, it's like, that was a 10-mile bike, I think. Like,
yeah.
Come on.
When you look back at it now.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, I was hooked ever since then, but kind of life got in the way. So I did triathlons for a couple years and then got out of the military and went back to school to finish my bachelor's. I think I did maybe a year of triathlons at some point there, then went to law school, did a summer of time trials, because that's what I was good at, the bike leg. And then...
When you say summer of time trials, how many are we talking? Are we talking like more than 4?
Yeah, so Ohio used to have, and actually I think they had races in Indiana. It was sponsored by Colavita, I think it's pronounced. They make olive oil. I'm sure you've seen it at the stores.
Okay.
They sponsored a time trial series. It was amazing.
Oh.
Like with a start ramp and everything.
Oh, that's cool.
What?
And yeah, and like Zip was a sponsor. I remember the last race of the year, Zip had wheels you could borrow. And I remember I put a 1080 on my front wheel. So it was, 100 millimeters. And, I wasn't that experienced as far as like cycling goes. Like I rode quite a bit, but man, that thing was like blowing me all over the place, but it was so fast.
Dude.
It was so fast. But yeah, I think it was at least 4 races. It was crazy. It was awesome. Yeah. But they haven't had that for years.
We need to bring that back. That
Yeah.
sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I would do time trials just for that too.
Yeah.
That experience.
Don't listen. He literally told me a week ago he's selling his TT bike.
I
So
might
do
be.
not listen to him.
Me? Oh, so I already.
Maybe.
Oh, I was gonna say I
No,
sold mine. You can always
Yeah.
get another bike.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
So yeah, and then it was. I think I was 37. I think when I finally was like, I'm just gonna focus on cycling. Like I hated swimming, and I got to the point in
Yeah.
triathlons where I was like, I got to go to the pool every day, swim for at least an hour, and that was not fun. I just didn't have the motivation. I was like, I don't enjoy this.
It is
So,
tough. It is tough if you don't have a swimming background to get into swimming and then to like find a love of swimming.
Yeah, it's very tough.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
So yeah, so I've been kind of riding racing since then. So
I was just going to say, how long did it take you to go from Cat 5 to Cat 1 then?
So yeah, so I started, of course, Cat 5, and it was, my first race wasn't until May. I missed some earlier races. I think, would you say to Cat?
From 5 to 1.
I think it was 4 years.
Okay.
So, and some of the point systems changed.
Yeah.
That allowed me to kind of cat up maybe a little sooner than I would have otherwise. It used to be really hard to go from 3 to 2, 2 to 1.
Yeah.
Even 4 to 3 actually was.
What was, because we just went up to 4, but it wasn't like, they've even relaxed on the 5 to 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't, you just have to show up to races.
I think it's always-
5 USA
Yeah.
sanctioned
yeah.
races.
Or 12
points,
point
yeah.
mandatory
Yeah.
upgrade.
Right.
I think it's always been something like that from 4 to 5 or 5 to 4. But from 4 to 3, it used to be you had to get points like finish, in the top 7 or depending on how many people showed up to the race.
Yeah.
It was never like, oh, if you've done 20 races, you can go up to 3.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if
Still.
that makes any difference because, most races are 3, 4 anyways.
Do you remember which was the most difficult? I mean, obviously 1 is the most difficult category to get into, but were you ever like, man, I'm never going to get to 2 or to 3 or?
I don't know. I mean, because to be honest, I remember, I don't know if I was a 3 or 4 going to the Madeira crit, and I did the 3-4 race, of course, and I hung around for the night race. And I remember watching those guys just fly around there, and I'm like, oh my God, what would it be like to be out there?
Yeah.
Like under the lights? Like, are you kidding me?
With those
And I'm like,
corners.
Dude.
there's no way I can do that, right? I'm like 38 at the
Yeah.
time or 39. Like, it's just silly to think that I could ever be out there. So, yeah, I don't know what the hardest, maybe 3 to 2, I think.
Okay. I got one more. Sorry, I'm on a roll right now.
No, go for it.
When you, so you've been cycling for 10 years. How long into cycling until you got a power meter? And started
I've been
training?
pretty geeked out, I think, from the beginning. I'm trying to remember my first bike, actually, and what I had on it. Yes, because I had a power tap in the
Okay.
rear wheel.
Okay.
So I think, honestly, from the very beginning, I've always
Yeah.
kept journals of, like, my training. And I didn't know as much about training, like when I think back. And not that it was a bad thing, but a lot of times my riding was just tempo. All the time, like
do you-
pushing on the pedals,
Right.
like borderline sweet spot for 2 or 3 hours, right? Like,
But that was. I mean, you look at like even old Ironman guys. The way that they were training, they would try and like outdo one another in terms of like how hard they can go.
Right.
And and then you think today where you're just like, the 80-20 rule and all, with science coming into the play where it's like, no, this is not a good, like,
Right.
this is not the best way to train.
and even
race,
I feel like that's kind of coming back a little bit too when you look at some of these guys like the UAE and the UNO-X rider. I forget his name, but he apparently does a lot of that upper zone 2. Like, so it's still zone 2, but it's like it's not
your
a cafe ride,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's like you're doing some work.
So what, how long into training did it take you to transition from just kind of what I think a lot of recreational weekend guys do, just every ride you do is a upper tempo and
Yeah.
you're not really building fitness. So how long for you to get out of that mold? And then do you remember some of your early power numbers when you were like starting off?
Yeah. So, and some of that, when I was talking about the tempo, I should have clarified that was during triathlons, which is actually a good thing for tries. I mean, you should be doing some VO2 max, but I kind of didn't know any better. I remember because I got tested at UC when I think I was doing the TT series, and I think it was like 290. That's my FTP.
So we're still.
That actually encourages me a lot. Yeah. But I want to ask this because I think there is something to where we've talked around this idea before, but like just your genetic potential, right? Yes. And so not everybody's going to get to a Cat 1. Right. Like, Greg will never get there. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I think, there is something to where just in terms of for you, when you were early on, did you have other guys or other people around you being like, dude, you've got Cat 1 fitness or Cat 1-2 fitness. Like how to do that with other guys that we've raced with. And you say, oh, this is the guy to mark because even though they're a Cat 4 or 5, they've got Cat 1-2 fitness. Right. Did you have other people tell you that early on?
I remember Dr. Jane from UC, when I did that test, he's like, yeah, you should look into a coach. Like, I think he saw that I had some potential and to go somewhere.
Cool.
I think it's interesting when I think about, because growing up I was a basketball player, so I didn't do really any endurance stuff. I didn't run track or cross country, so I was more of an explosive guy. So I think doing triathlons and that kind of training for so long kind of built a really good base where I would otherwise be maybe more of a sprinter. So, and now I'm kind of more of like an all-arounder. So yeah, I think FTP seems to be, it's nice to talk about, but the bottom line is you got to find out what kind of rider you are, because even at the top level in the United States, like crits, not all those guys have 400 watt FTPs.
Yeah.
You don't need it necessarily. You just need to know, you need to know what your muscle fiber type is. And the saying is train your weaknesses, race your strengths. So,
yeah. So let me ask you this, because I think it's also interesting to think about people's background in terms of like, especially if they get into racing, what is it, their backgrounds? Like, Greg was a runner. I was a skateboarder. I played football and baseball. Not helpful for,
you say that, but in crits, you have no fear.
Right. But
cornering,
I think that's where that like
a little
bit of this like extra maybe coordination practice for many years early on might help me in crits more than other people coming.
You're not afraid to crash, it seems like, to me, from what I've watched.
Thankfully, I haven't got there yet. But for you, even with your military background, do you think that has lended itself to like a very easy discipline? Because I just imagine most people who go into the military or come out of it typically are going to be really disciplined people.
Yeah, it does make people that are undisciplined more disciplined. But I was like that from a young age. Yeah. Like, I remember, I would have this basketball workout I would do every night. And it's funny because I had a picture of it when I was in high school, me standing in my room, and behind me on the wall, you could see all these sheets of paper hanging up where I would write down how many shots I made for my workouts, free throws. So like
wow, you were like a data nerd back then.
Yeah,
I love that.
It was, So it was,
it's cool.
I've kind of always been that way.
I think that's just, I've thought about this a lot in terms of like the discipline, where it's like, I think probably what separates maybe a lot of recreational folks to those that might tap, maybe dip their toe in the water in terms of racing, but then realize like, if you really want to get good, you really do have to be disciplined. Like,
have to be.
Because in essence, like, you can't just show up to a race and be like, hey, I'm actually really good. I haven't trained, done any real structured training in the last 6 to 8 weeks. It's like, you can just show up and be good. And it's like, that's not really true.
Yeah, especially when you have families, right? And like other obligations. It's like, you might have to get that ride in at 5, right? Yeah. You might have to do them on the trainer because you don't have time to go outside. So the discipline aspect is huge. And that, in cycling's, the downside to cycling is, I feel like, is there's almost no limit to like how much time you can put on the bike, right? Like running, it's like you're going to injure yourself.
Yeah.
Like cycling, I try to tell people that I work with, I'm like, you don't understand. There's guys out there my age that are putting in 20 hours a week, 25, right? Like,
which is basically a part-time job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you compete with, it's like, it's crazy.
I don't even think marathon training doesn't go to 25 hours a week, does it? I mean, I don't know. When I was a runner, everything for us was based around mileage, not necessarily time. Yeah. So I'm thinking 25 hours a week.
Because 60 miles a week is pretty big, right?
That's a big week.
I think the pros do like 100 maybe.
Yeah.
And not ever all the time.
I mean, my friends, when they were in college, they were around 80
a
week. And a lot of them were getting injured at that. So I've just never correlated the mileage to time, like how much time they're training.
Yeah.
All right, before we go any further, we want to give a huge shout out to Road ID for not only supporting our podcast, but also letting us film right here at their headquarters. If you're a cyclist, runner, or just someone who wants peace of mind while out on the road, Road ID has you covered. Their medical IDs provide crucial info in case of an emergency, and they look great too. Do yourself a favor, check out roadid.com and grab one today. Big thanks to the team at Road ID for their support. This episode is also brought to you by our sponsor, Chris Carville, the bike lawyer. If you are injured in a bicycle accident, Chris is the guy to call. 20 years of legal experience and tens of thousands of miles of training and racing. He's not just a legal pro, he's a cyclist who understands what it means to ride and the risks that come with it. Chris has helped me out with my insurance claim when I had an accident back in 2020. He was great to work with and made the entire process smooth and took the burdens off of my shoulders. He represents both Ohio and Kentucky injured cyclists. Whether you've been in a crash or just want to know your rights on the road, visit KentuckyBikeLawyer.com. All right, Josh, you want to take this section? Or you want me to take this first one here?
Go for it.
Okay, so Derek, one of the things that we've loved about having you coach us is answering a lot of questions. And so now it's fun for us to have you here to kind of get to ask a lot of what we've asked throughout the year, but have other people kind of tune in. So tell us, why should someone hire a coach?
Yeah, so I mean, I think starting out, to be honest, just riding your bike, going to some fast group rides, you can get pretty fast, or at least get a lot of fitness. At some point, though, you're going to want to be structured. And the information's all out there, right? You can Google, you can find programs, you can find workouts. If you don't have the time to do that, or if you're the type of athlete that needs someone to kind of rein you in, right? Like if you're overtraining, a coach can help with that. There's a lot of guys that are like, I don't want to think about it. I just want someone to give me the workouts and I'll go do them. That's a good person that would, or that's someone that would benefit from a coach.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think? So, because this probably gets, I think a lot of people would think about this, especially if they start riding for a long time, where they might think about the idea of like they might want to get into racing or whatever, and they kind of have that idea toy around in their mind of like, should I get a coach? I see other teams that maybe they have a coach, or you meet other guys that they've got a coach. What do you think like the biggest misconceptions are with having a coach?
That all coaches are good.
Yeah,
I've seen
like that.
some that I'm just like, I'm not sure, if that's valuable. I think, and other coaches will probably kill me for saying this, I think the best place to start for someone that's relatively new to cycling would be like TrainerRoad. I think what they're doing now is really advanced compared to when I used it way back when. I've used it multiple times. But, I mean, if you got the money, a coach is nice because it's very tailored, right, to what the type of athlete you are, your training history. They can do probably a little better job at looking at how you're responding to the training and kind of fatigue. TrainerRoad's kind of starting to do that with some of the questions, like how do you feel before your ride, they ask you. But you got to be honest, right? But as a coach, you can look at your HRV, your resting heart rate, your heart rate during the workout, stuff like that to, I guess, prescribe future training or workouts.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about, because one thing I know we've both really appreciated, And we've all seen various degrees of coaching. I know this season, what we've really appreciated is like what you can't get from Trainer Road is like tactics and race insights,
Yes.
Telling us, like, going to a crit and telling Josh, this is the guy, stay on his wheel, or, hey, the race is going to feel like this until about this point, and that's when it's going to kick up a gear. And I know, like, I have hugely appreciated that. For every race that we've done this year, there's been that constant conversation of how to do the racing. Can you go into that a little bit, maybe?
Yeah, that's actually a great point. I think that's another aspect that I think the other coaches do. I'm not sure. You can also kind of get that from teammates if you join a team that, guys that are experienced. But that is, invaluable, right? It's almost like, because really, like, the only way to get better at racing is to race. But the other way, the little shortcut, is to have someone that's done a lot of racing to say, okay, this is what typically happens, or look out for this, or watch this rider, or sit in for the first 20 minutes. Everyone's going to be going crazy.
Get off the front, Greg.
Right, exactly. Conserve your energy.
Sure did listen to that advice. Race 1, he was at the front. But just a side note, because this is pretty funny. I mean, our very first race that we did was Georgia. And I kid you not, Derek probably told us maybe 4 or 5 times, like, don't find yourself in the front of the race. Race 1 of 3 races that weekend, Greg's finding himself in the front on this circuit race. And I'm just thinking, like, Greg's not, or Coach Derek's not going to like this.
I think I remember saying, just, like, don't tell Derek I did that. Or, like, I think Derek's going to be pissed.
I think he's going to know.
Some of that's just making sure you guys have that mindset. But then at the end of the day, and having not raced, it's probably hard. I mean, Greg, you've done racing in high school, running. Yeah. So there's some kind of pacing and when to push, when to back off. I think you probably have some of that experience. But, a coach or a teammate can tell you all the advice they want. But at the end of the day, you kind of got to feel the race out.
Yeah.
And, sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. I mean, guys with lots of experience get it wrong all the time. Guys that aren't experienced sometimes get lucky and get it right. So.
Yeah. What do you think are some of the key qualities that people should look for, like, if they're considering hiring a coach?
Ooh, that's a good question, because I've never used a coach.
Right.
Part of that's just because I'm fascinated by the training. And I forget who said it, but they're like, if you don't trust your coach, you shouldn't get a coach. And I'm not sure I'd ever trust anyone, because I'd always be like, I kind of want to do this, or I want to do that.
Well, you kind of said in the beginning you like geeking out on the numbers,
yes.
And that's always been part of your, like, this self-motivated self-coach aspect, and
trying new stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, some cycling's very traditional, kind of set in its ways, unlike like triathlon. So I like to pull stuff from other areas. But yeah, for a coach, I would say, like, communication, I feel like would be huge. If you're not getting much communication, they're just kind of giving you a program, I don't know. Then I would kind of wonder, is this worth it? Maybe not.
Because that's definitely something you could get from just AI, is a program.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So how often are they going to update your training, right? Because I feel like that would be maybe an indicator of how often they're actually looking at what you're doing. Yeah, that's... And then, I mean, if you can talk to other athletes that have used the coach too, that would be a good...
Yeah. I feel like experience is probably a key part of that as well. Just given that, you want to coach with, like you, where I think it's been invaluable. Like Greg mentioned, your race experience for us getting into this for the first time has been tremendous, where you've given us so much advice that it's so, like, we've already talked about this a little bit, but it's like you can't get TrainerRoad or ROUVY to be able to tell you, like, this is what you should do the first 15 minutes of this race.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to build a really good program, a good training block for you. Like, you can do that kind of stuff, but you can ask ChatGPT to be like, what should I do during a crit race? It probably will have a couple of key bullet points.
Yeah.
But when you talk to somebody, when you have that human connection to be like, look, I've been there and done that. I know for a fact, like, this is what it's going to feel like. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to avoid. And I just think you can't really get that from somebody who hasn't kind of been there and done that from an experience standpoint. And I think that's probably a key element to us, and specifically me just having so much fun with you being our coach, where it's like your race experience has been tremendous and leveled us up in terms of just even showing up to these races, where it's like, man, we are already
with confidence.
With confidence,
yeah.
And potentially more tactics, at least just mentally. Now, experience plays into that a lot with our own race experience, but it's more of that idea of like, we've come into this being like, I remember the first crit being like, man, I felt very much like I knew exactly what to do and what not to do. And it was great. I mean, ended up podium in that race, and you're just like, dang, that's great,
right.
But it was, and then I remember specifically, because you were down with us, but it's like you pointed out, like, you're going to come around this corner and people are going to start sprinting too soon. Don't start sprinting there. Start sprinting here. And I just remember we got to that last lap. Everybody's still together. And I was like, not yet, not yet, not yet, go. And it was just like, oh, it worked.
Right.
That was spot on. So I think that's a key part of it. But yeah, that's really cool. I like that. So.
I want to add on to that too, as far as the experience goes. I don't know if this is something you should look for, but something that I've definitely appreciated is the fact that you are still very active in racing and riding. And so, like the workouts that you're sending us are not, these 15-year-old training plans that you tried. It's stuff that you're trying now, and you text like, hey, I did this workout this week. It felt like this, but it was really effective. I'm going to put it into your guys' schedule for next week because I think it's going to have positive results. That and another thing that like I think AI kind of lacks is if you have a bad day. Like there have been multiple times where both of us have had either bad races or bad days in training, and you'd be like, no, this is not worth getting upset about. Like this is like what I'm seeing way more positives than you felt like you had one or two bad intervals or whatever. Like I feel like there's been multiple times for both of us where.
Well, I think kind of riffing off that for a second, because this is what I think is interesting about AI in terms of, it also plays into the AI coaching of this, where it's these AI platforms are really built to almost affirm whatever you're providing them the information on. And so I've seen this play out even in my work, where it's like you might provide a lot of context into what you're looking for, but in large part, like AI is a lot of times like gonna affirm things in you that you're like, oh, this is actually like not quite accurate,
Right.
And it's like, but it'll kind of affirm like, hey, you're really close. And it's like, but in training, I could see this play out where this AI coaching could really affirm you in things in ways that a coach might push back and be like, no, I think actually you're giving up on these. Like, for example, I'm just thinking like if I'm doing just AI coaching and I'm starting to give up on a lot of these high intense intervals, right? And it's just like, hey, not feeling it, bad day or whatever. Like that's all normal. But if I continue to do that, like if AI is telling me like, hey, that's okay. Yeah, you have a bad day. Hey, it's okay. You have another bad day. Hey, it's fine. No worries. It's like, but you would be like, dude, what are you doing? Like, cut the shit. Like, finish the intervals. Like,
right. Or we need to regroup. We need to take a step back.
What's happening here? And it's like, I think some of the challenges with AI is that like and I've seen this with ChatGPT, where it really starts to affirm you in being like, hey, that's perfect. Like, that's great. Like, and it'll kind of give you all these reasons why. And I could just see the downside of that being like somebody could affirm themselves in a training block where they're like, oh, like a coach would be like, no, this is actually not good. Like, you need to really look at this. Like, or you need to stop doing this because this is more a behavior issue than anything else. Like, you're just giving up mentally or physically before you're supposed to. So
basically affirm them into mediocrity.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a great way of putting it. So, yeah.
Yeah, those are all very good points. I mean, I've been there as like a self-coach athlete where I've just had a bad workout and then just went down this spiral of like, oh my God, I'm losing fitness. What's going on? And like questioning the program and not being able to see the forest through the trees, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know, like you said, Greg, at least once, each of you had a moment in training that it was crap.
Yeah.
You had a bad workout.
Yeah.
And like it was bad. And if you were by yourself in that moment, it could turn out to be like, you take a week or two off the bike.
I think mine was like the FTP test. I remember,
might have been.
like, because I was coming off that sickness and just had a bad, like, I tested bad, had a bad couple days, like, leading up, and I think the next week was rough on intervals, and you were like, dude, you're fine. Because we got outside, like, 2 or 3 weeks later, and you're like, yep.
You crushed it. Yeah, you did something to crush it. And Josh did the same thing. I think you had, was it the bad hill day? We were doing hill
the
repeats?
day that he crushed it was the day that I took a sword through the heart and realized that, hey, my superpower might not be climbing. And no, but honestly, to your point, it was one of those dynamics where and I could get in this headspace very quickly. I know this is it's not a positive about me. It's one of my like things that it's not healthy always, where I can get into a bad headspace and I can stay there and then continue to spiral. Yeah. Where it's like, oh, wait, like, no, just hold on, scope out. Like, first of all, this is fine, you know. But it was that specific training ride that we did where I was so frustrated and I was so pissed because I couldn't hang, and I was just like, dude, I don't even know what I'm doing. Why am I even doing this? You know,
been there.
And you're just like, wait a minute. But then I remember that next day, you know, you were just like, dude, like you like encouraged me back to being like, hey, this is fine. This is good because now we're discovering this. Now we can start to work on this, discovering like an opportunity for you to get better. And so it's just like that instance of itself. I would imagine if I went down that rabbit hole with AI, it could have been a very different outcome. It'd been like, you know, or it could have, you know, affirm me into mediocrity, and I feel like affirm me into mediocrity. See?
Mediocrity?
Mediocrity? Is that what I said? You gave me a look.
I don't think that's what you said.
You made me second guess myself. All right. Well, but you know what I mean. But that is one of those things where I remember that specific day being like, dude, this is, I hate this. Yeah.
I'm not a cyclist.
Yeah.
Like you're like.
And I just immediately was so defeated, but that was so early on too in the training. Okay, so let's transition to this really quick. So we're going to talk a little bit about the AI pros and cons. We've touched on this a little bit, but AI coaching platforms. So right now, ROUVY and TrainerRoad are the two biggest ones. You've had experience with TrainerRoad. Tell me, what do you think the pros are with TrainerRoad and the cons?
So the pros, of course, is cost, right? I mean, very cost effective.
Was it like $15-$20 a month?
I think it's up to like, it's at least 20. It might be 30. Yeah.
Okay. So they're
gouging your money.
Yeah. So I love the platform. The library of workouts is crazy, right? I like how there's progression, like levels, and you can see your progress.
Who's designed a lot of these workouts? Are they like
they had
coaches?
A coach? Yeah, They had a coach on staff that was, I think, did most of them. Okay, but there's hundreds
of workouts. Yeah.
So, like I said, I like the interface how they use it. Like it keeps track of your TSS for the week. So the cons, though, I think, so back when I first started using it, they were very sweet spot heavy. So I got fit, but I also got burnt out. Like they would have you do, it's crazy. It's like 4 or 5 sweet spot workouts a week.
No kidding.
And this is like a base build.
I remember hearing a lot. This was a few years ago, but I remember a lot of people in like on Reddit and various platforms always complained of I'm over fatigued, I'm burned out. Like I feel like I saw that a lot because that was a big kind of like hesitation for me to even consider it. Was like, I just hear about everybody burning out all the time and hating riding their bike. Yeah,
they've gotten better though about that. There's less sweet spot even for the base build. They also have, like I said before your workout, they have you kind of rate how you're feeling. Like, are you motivated? It's kind of like a motivational thing. It's like a sad face, kind of a.
Yep, I've seen that in Training Peaks. Yeah, where you give this smiley, happy, or like whatever face, and then you also rate like how did this feel on a
like
afterwards.
Scale.
Afterwards,
right? Yep. So they do that and stuff, but that requires you to be honest, right? Like, so that's the hard part. Like I remember there were times where I'm like, wanted to say, oh, that wasn't max effort, right? But it's like, okay, really it was, right? Because there's this if you're competitive, you want to progress, right?
Yeah.
So if they sign you a workout, and this is kind of a con, there's been times where, for whatever reason, the workout they assigned just destroyed me. I'm like, I should be able to do this workout and the progression, but I wasn't even close, right? And like you said earlier about having a coach, there's no one there to like talk you off the ledge of like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? Do I just change my whole program? Something's not right, kind of deal. You can go down that, you can kind of spiral. That's what I think is a con. I also think, so the thing about TrainerRoad, I feel like, is even when you use it, you almost have to, or I would encourage people to kind of know what they're doing and almost be their coach as well, because you can switch things around.
Do you think in terms of like sifting through all these different workouts, like if you're starting out where you don't know anything or you're getting into racing for the first time, you've heard about a lot of these sweet spot, VO2 max or whatever, things like that, but it's like, do you think that one of the downsides is that it can be almost information overload to where you're like, dude, I don't even know where to start?
You can be. Depends on your personality type, right?
Okay.
Like Greg's the type where I feel like he would sign up and just be like, okay, this is what I'm doing. And no question, just do it. Josh, you're kind of like me and be like,
just tell me what to do.
Josh, you're like me. We're like, well, why this workout? Well, what about, because you can pull up your workout and they'll give you alternatives. You're like, oh, maybe I should do this one. And then you go down this rabbit hole, like you've looked at 15 workouts and you're like, and it's like, I don't know. At the end of the day, there's probably 4 or 5 basic workouts.
Yeah.
And everything else is just offshoots of those.
Okay.
So, but I will say it was 2 winters ago, not this past winter, but the winter before, I believe. I was like, I'm going to go back to TrainerRoad, and they've really changed. Like I said, a lot of the features I told you about, that they've updated, and I did it to whatever they said, and they even calculated my FTP super low, and I'm like, it's the ego thing came out. I'm like, this is stupid. I'm like, I'm canceling this.
You don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not even using Trainer. This is dumb. And then I'm like, whoa. This is like December. Who cares, right? Who cares? And something was wrong because a buddy of mine who signed up for it, they said his FTP was like 320, something he'd never tested at. Like,
above or below what
above.
Oh.
Like, he had never even gotten close to that. And he's like, what's up with this? I'm like, dude, I don't know. But you can adjust it, right? Like, but anyways, long story short, I was like, you know what? It's December. I'm just going to do the workouts exactly how they prescribe them with my FTP. And I was flying in the spring. Like, I was really impressed.
So with the low FTP.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was actually a very, and this, like I said, this was after I'd been training for 5 or 6 years. A lot of people tend to overestimate their FTP. And even
people do that?
Yeah.
That's hard to believe.
Right.
Yeah.
even the testing.
Shocker.
Even the testing.
Is that a thing in cycling?
And, it's one of those things where you're almost always better to underestimate. Like if you're overtraining the zones, that's worse than undertraining to some degree.
I mean, we've even had discussions this past season about just FTP in general and how much of an emphasis everybody puts on it. But I mean, I think we were talking, it's like, you were like, realistically, you just need like a 6 to 8 minute power. Like in a race scenario, when are you really going to be, unless you're doing some grand tour mountain finish, which we're never, or time trial. But other than that, in an average race, you really just need like 6 to 8 minutes of a lot in the tank.
Yeah. I mean, FTP is just one kind of way to measure your fitness, but it's not the best and it's not the only, right? Like, I like to measure, what kind of power I can put out at my zone 2 heart rate, right? And see how high I can get that power up, like you said, the 4 to 5 minute efforts, how much power can I do on like a 4 or 5 minute hill? How many repeats can I do on a 4 or 5 minute hill at VO2 max power? That kind of stuff I feel like's way more important than FTP.
Yeah.
People just starting out can make a lot of progress with like TrainerRoad.
Yeah.
Not to say they shouldn't hire a coach or, I mean, they could make the same progress with the coach, but it's just like anything. In the beginning, you're going to make huge strides, right?
Yeah.
And then the more you do it, your gains really start to slow down. And that's where, like, okay, I really want to go to the next level, right? Like I've kind of plateaued, or maybe you've had some bad experiences, kind of like what I was talking about. I mean, I used to do it every summer. I would just train, bury myself, and then all of a sudden be like, I hate riding my bike. And then, and it's like, I think a coach probably could have reeled me in.
Yeah.
But yeah, starting out, I mean, it's hard to beat TrainerRoad.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so let's dive into training and racing expectations. For a lot of folks like us, just trying to get better, faster, stronger. So from Coach Derek, I had a main goal of doing crits this year. That was my A race, and then some of my B race, stuff like that. Greg obviously was more focused on road races as his A and B races, and now it's August, but we started training back in January. How did you roughly kind of plan out our training season, knowing that we both had two different aims in terms of types of races?
Yeah, so it's interesting because even though you guys had different A races, your programs were somewhat similar, and I'll explain why. First, since we live in cold climates and spend a lot of time on the trainer, I did kind of what is referred to as reverse periodization. Mm-hmm. So typically, you build a big base first, and then you start adding in the intensity during like the build phase and stuff. But here, I mean, it's hard to get outside in the winter. It's hard to ride, 8, 10, 12 hours on the trainer in zone 2. So I kind of had you guys do some intensity early on in the season. Mm-hmm. So it was good for you, Josh, because you wanted to do some spring racing. So I wanted to get you ready for those crits. And it was good for Greg because Greg's A race was Cherahalla, I think.
Yep.
Which is like 100-mile, 10,000 feet of climbing, a big race. So I did his stuff, high intensity first, and then once he did that, transitioned to more like longer distance. And then he would just kind of keep some intensity, do like maybe once or twice a week. But then he would start building that kind of sweet spot threshold, getting the miles in to get ready for Cherahalla. So, and then Josh, I remember your A race was late June, which worked out perfect, and you also did Cherahalla.
Yep.
So I kind of mimicked Josh or Greg's a little bit in that you did your intensity, and then we started adding some volume. I believe it was in like May.
Yeah.
Sweet spot. Kind of, we'd sprinkle in some intensity just so you kind of maintain it. And then after Cherahalla, it was kind of back to the intensity again.
Yep.
So it sounds, typically training, you got your base phase where it's kind of just a lot of zone 2, weightlifting, that kind of thing, which, in an ideal world, you would do it, outside or, I mean, you could do it on the trainer. It's just kind of, like I said, it's kind of hard. And you guys did do some like longer stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just mentally it's fatiguing. I feel like it's just
I feel like I was outside this winter more than ever and not caring. Just being like, I got to get outside. I got to get off the trainer.
Same. Well, I think one of the things that's interesting too about our training is, and I think this just plays into the whole like crit dynamics versus like a road race where I've done you had me doing so many 30-second, 2-3 minute intervals, a lot of these 30-30s, and just these, like at least twice a week, I was doing really high intensity that would repeat and repeat. And I think one of the things that was really interesting was after the first crit race, it was like, oh, this is the HIIT workout. This plays out exactly like a HIIT workout. There's these surges, and then it's like, okay, it's chill. Surges, then it's chill. And so I just felt so prepared for that. But I remember thinking back on the training and being like, this is why Derek had me do this, because this is exactly how this race feels,
And you had just come from tries, like you did some riding before, and then really just did tries for a year, I think.
Yeah, about a year and a half.
Yeah. So you had kind of that kind of big bass, kind of like the sweet spot tempo.
But I wasn't doing a lot of high intensity. I remember that was one of the key things that you were like, I just remember when we had talked about this too, was just that idea of, oh wow, I've never done this much intensity in a consistent manner ever.
Yeah, and it's funny because that was mainly because of what I experienced. So I came from triathlons, and I think when I started racing, I mean, my FTP was like 340. Okay. So it's like a Cat 5. It's like, you know, I had teammates, oh, dude, you're going to crush it, blah, blah, you know. And I get in these crits, and it's like, once I spiked my power and my heart rate went up, it just didn't want to come down. And I'm like, what is, you know, and I didn't do as well as I should have or could have. And I think it's because I didn't have those kind of like, that fitness. Yeah. The kind of like the anaerobic or the surge recover.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about, because I know you had mentioned this to me, a big part of our training early on was using TSS. So for those who don't know, training stress score, to kind of build our week to week. Can you go into that a little bit, kind of what you were looking for or how you're mapping that out, I guess, or just kind of like, I've always kind of wondered like the thought process behind the execution of that.
Yeah, I've noticed just with my training personally, I like to use TSS when I'm kind of building fitness. It's tricky though, because when you throw in intervals, you kind of have to, I guess, be careful of the TSS. And I'll give you an example. So if I was doing traditional base, just zone 2, you know, I've done 8, 9. I think I've even maybe hit 1,000 TSS in a week.
Wow.
But if I tried to do that just with like intervals in some zone 2, it would probably send me into like a bad place. And I think my understanding is it has to do with, you know, zone 2. The great thing about zone 2, why you can do a lot of it, is it doesn't have a negative effect on your nervous system like high intensity. Like high intensity, and you know that, right? High intensity is just, it's hard. It's mentally fatiguing. So to try to get that much TSS from intensity is just not a good idea. And you know, if you look at your workouts, if you do an hour and a half workout and do some VO2 max, your TSS for that workout may be 100. Mm-hmm. But you're like, wow, that was hard. That hurt.
My arms hurt. Like, when you're climbing and you're going all out and you're like, why do my arms hurt? Like, I'm not even using them.
Yeah. You're like, oh, that was brutal. But then we go out and do a 4-hour ride, kind of have, you know, you could easily get 150, 200 TSS.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, you may feel that later in the day, right? Yeah. Like, oh man, I just need a nap. But during the ride, it's kind of like,
you don't feel it as much.
You're like,
this is manageable.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So, I have a follow-up to that then. So, we've also talked about this a little bit. Can you kind of go into like periodization as far as like 6-week blocks? Like, I guess maybe with our training, or because, you know, the winter months, at what point in the training is it 6 weeks out from the event that it's like, okay, we are shifting gears now and we're really going to start modifying? Like, what is that, or how does that work?
So ideally, you'd start building probably 6 months out.
Okay, like just base or intensity?
Yeah, you'd start with base, but kind of have in your 4 to 6 months, be like, okay, this is my A race. And at that point, I would like to actually start planning things out, right? And planning the base. And then, you know, as far as the 6 weeks per, I think it's, forget what it is. I mean, I've done base phases of almost 3 months, I think, like especially in the fall, right? Like you don't have any racing. I consider that base building, right? Okay. You just go out and do zone 2. Mm-hmm. The build and the peaking phases, though, those, especially the peaking, you can't just continue that. That's like
maybe that's what I'm
6 to 8 weeks.
Okay,
tops,
I think that's
probably
what I'm thinking of. So it's like the peak, like you've talked about, you can only hold this fitness for a little bit of time, and then you're going to come down, and then you have to change it to a different
stimulus. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Like you can do zone 2 like year round. Now you're not just going to keep getting faster. You're not going to be crushing hills, but you would be fine and you'd be building some fitness. But if you try to do, you know, a year worth of intervals, it's kind of like at some point your body's just going to be like, what are we doing here? Like,
and your brain, I couldn't imagine.
Exactly.
Like one of the things, so like my last race for the year ended this past Saturday. And I'm kind of like, I was telling Josh, like, I'll do some intervals, but I'm like, I don't really want to do a lot of intervals in the fall right now. Like, I don't feel like
perfect.
What should somebody do with this huge block between now and their, like, you know, spring season racing again?
So a lot of that depends on the individual. Like me personally, like I always have to have some kind of structure, right? But I know that I can't necessarily be like aiming for like race fitness in the fall or winter. So depending on what type of person you are, if you're that type of person, then yeah, I would kind of be like, okay, what are your goals this fall? It should be around, usually mileage. You could have like 1 year I'm like, I'm going to do a century every week, see how long I can do a century, like start a streak. You could do something where like, you know what, my weakness was, I don't know, 2-minute efforts in the fall. I'm going to try some different training to get, my peak 2-minute power. You could do something like that in the fall, and then you would just have to build in some, probably at least a month of like just zone 2, low zone 2. If you're like, you know what, like Greg, you're like, man, I just want to ride my bike. Then, fall is great to just ride when you want to ride. Definitely probably get in the weight room if you want to race the next year. Both of us looking at Greg. I mean, everyone I talk to, and that's it's funny because that's one thing I did carry over from my weight training days is I've always been lifting, even when I was started cycling. And I was like, I know when I was lifting that I was always told like do the big lifts, squat, bench press. It increases your hormones. It's it's good for you. And now, of course, that's all the rage, right? Like everyone's doing it. But so I mean, that's what I would do. And even like if you like to run in the fall. You can do cross training type stuff. But it kind of depends. I mean, like if you're really motivated and like, okay, I had a great year, I want to crush next year. There's nothing wrong with like having some like structure for the fall. Yeah. But you just want to be careful and know that you have a long time before the next year. And most of the time, like I said, it would be around zone 2, like doing those long rides, true zone 2 rides. And a lot of the science now actually is it's not a bad idea to sprinkle in some intensity every couple weeks.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be super structured. It could just be like, I'm going to go.
Take a KOM.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So
go
like
after
a 5-minute, 4-minute interval, something like that,
yes.
where you're like, oh, yeah, this is very, if I go all out, this is, Okay. So what do you think the most common mistakes recreational cyclists make that are preventing them from getting faster?
I hate to say this, but it's probably not being structured. I think there's some people that just ride and they do a lot of group rides. And to be honest, if that's what they enjoy, then that's what they should do, right? Some people just don't enjoy structure. Yeah. I know several people, they're just like, I wouldn't be riding if I had to do workouts, right? And they're still fit, right? Yeah. But if you like really want to get like fit, you got to have some structure. And it doesn't mean you can't do group rides, right? Like group rides are fun. But yeah, you need to have some structure. And when I say structure, kind of a build, and where your workouts replicate whatever race you're trying to do, that kind of thing.
I want to ask you a question real quick. This is kind of separate before we get into our next segment. So you had talked about kind of one thing that you've been doing with Josh and I is mentoring us. I know the team you're on, you've talked about the current team you're on. That's a big part of that. Can you go into that a little bit? Maybe plug your team real quick.
Oh yeah. Cleveland Cycling Academy. We are like a U23 team. And then we also have a masters team, which is the team I'm on. And we mentor the young guys, the U23 athletes. And that it's kind of informal. A lot of them have their own coaches. But yeah, it's just kind of to, I guess, impart some of our experience and racing and even training sometimes. But yeah, we have some amazing kids right now. One of our former athletes, he just moved to a different team this past year, Hot Tubes. Okay. It's a feeder team for Ineos. He's the U19 road national champion. Wow. I just raced with him on Saturday. So he had a Stars and Stripes jersey.
Oh, no way.
I was going to say, so with being U23 and then Masters, how often are you racing with these kids?
Yeah, so it would only be in like the category races, of course,
Right.
like the 1-2 races.
Okay.
And they're from all over the place. So Cash Adamski's the one I just mentioned. He lives in Michigan. But we got some really fast kids in Tennessee, Indiana.
I saw one or two at the Hyde Park Blast.
Yeah.
Real young looking guy. I think I've seen one at Coors.
Oh, you might have, yeah.
I think there was one that came down there. So
Yeah, so it's awesome. I mean, yeah, we got some amazing kids.
Yeah.
okay. Awesome. All right. We want to kind of, this last kind of final section of the show, we like to do rapid fire questions. So kind of, you don't have to give a ton of thought to these, just kind of what jumps in your mind. And then if there's anything worth kind of going into, we can kind of just, but it's just kind of quick topics. So between Josh and I, who's been harder to coach?
This is kind of easy. And Josh knows I've told him and I are a lot alike. So I would probably say Greg was the easier one to coach. But having said
Wait,
that,
I was easier or harder?
you were easier to coach.
Oh.
Greg was easier because I just give him the workouts and like I know he's going to do it.
And not ask a million questions.
Right. And Josh is like me though, right? And but on some level that makes
Power
him,
wise too. This is what we're
Right,
going for.
exactly,
Right? Yeah.
right.
Okay. Yeah.
Sense of direction as well.
this is right. Like if I tell Greg to do zone 2, it's like, zone 2 the whole time.
Yeah,
It will
Josh
not-
is like,
yeah.
and I'm like,
I'll give you 95% in zone 2, and that's a pretty good slice. That's
I
a pretty
remember
good
there was one ride you guys did where I was out of town, and it was supposed to be like a zone 2, and Josh even filmed it, and I'm like seeing people sprinting by. I'm like,
Yeah,
what
what's
are they
going on?
doing?
Right.
Like, what did I miss?
yeah. But like Josh, I feel like since you and I are cut from the same cloth, you weren't hard to coach, right? Because I just know.
Thank you.
I've been there.
You
right?
get record show.
Exactly. Right.
You get. He understands me.
Right.
I'm just easygoing.
Like Greg, I literally could tell him, okay, this is what the power you need to do up these climbs. We did it that one year.
Yeah.
So we went to
Was this
Pine Mountains.
Pine Mountain?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love this story. I tell everyone this story.
Yeah.
We another friend of
Crazy.
ours went with us, who's like me, like you,
Best kind of
and
people.
who arguably he was probably stronger than you.
For sure.
Yeah. But Greg's like, hey, how should I pace these climbs? I'm like, you should do this watts up the first one, this watts up the second one. He's like, okay. Jesse may have asked me that, maybe not.
No, he didn't. He said, I'm
yeah.
sending it. He just
That
took
dude,
off.
yeah, he tried to hang on my wheel for that first climb and just toasted himself. And then how did it end up? Like, did you end up with a faster?
So he was way up the road
Yeah.
from the first climb, but on the final climb, we were within 1 watt of power of
Yes.
each other. But because of my weight, I beat him up the climb by like 40 seconds
Right.
or like a minute. Like he finished like 40 seconds ahead of me, but I beat him by like a minute 20 up the climb or something
Right.
crazy like
and
that.
he should have been able to hold more power than you, but
Yeah.
because he didn't pace it. And then
Oh,
Greg
sent
nailed
it,
it. Greg,
yeah.
like each one was like almost exactly what I told him to do, which
Do
is so
two-
hard. As
do
an,
283. He does 283.
I mean, still to this day, I have a hard
Yeah.
time with that. Right? Like,
Yeah.
Well, I think that's kind of helped me, and I've learned this a lot really the last couple months, like more recent, of like I don't want to use the word conservative, but stick to your numbers for the first couple intervals, like especially VO2, and then if you're feeling good the last 1 or 2, like send it, do whatever.
Oh, 100%.
Because we did a workout a couple months ago, and I kind of tried that. I was like the first 1 or 2, I was like whatever, and the third one I felt good. Then you were like, hey, for this next one, do whatever. And I remember passing you and being like, I don't know what to do now. I've never passed Eric before. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Okay. Who do you think has done a better job at getting in the gym?
that's
Oh
easy.
gosh, that's easy. Josh.
Oh, there we go. Hey. I just wanted that. We had an audience member ask us that question, so we had to ask it. I was just curious about that.
You guys will have. I'm
No,
going to be
just-
on you.
Josh's
Yeah.
wife wrote that in.
Right. Yeah.
She doesn't listen to the show. I think it is interesting. I definitely need to get back into the gym. I've been pretty lax recently, and it's been like, but I do know that will help me. I
Yeah.
know that because like to you, you've mentioned this so many times where it's like strength training is so good for you. Yeah.
Yeah, even
Especially
setting
increase your
cycling,
power.
setting cycling aside, it's just healthy.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yes.
you can be, I mean, healthy as a cyclist, but unhealthy in other ways, right? To where your bone density's garbage, and your upper body's so weak. It's like,
Yeah.
you kind of got to be somewhat well-rounded.
Yeah.
I think like, so we just had course 4 this past weekend, and I feel like I definitely walked away thinking, I feel like there's still watts to be gained, but I don't think I'm going to get them from, like just repeating next year everything I did this year. Like, I don't think I'm just going to gain 10, 15, 20 watts. I'm like, I have to start
Yeah.
really being consistent with the gym, especially in the winter. So
Yeah.
that was my takeaway. Okay. So here's one that I kind of want to know. I love how in the beginning you were trying to remember your first bike. I'm like, good luck with that.
Yeah.
So what has been, I'm going to limit this to road bikes only, so no TTs in this. Your favorite race bike that you've ever owned?
So that's a hard question to answer.
I know it is. I want brand, I want make and model, and then if you can remember how you spec'd it at the time.
So, I mean, we've talked about this, like probably since 2019, I would say. They're all so good.
Yeah.
Like, and some of my, like, I immediately think about like the S-Works SL6 I had, rim brake.
Okay.
Now, why does that pop in my head? Honestly, it's because I remember going out for a ride, and I was just planning on riding, like, I don't know, maybe zone 2. And I'm like, man, I'm feeling pretty good. And I went after a KOM and destroyed it. And it was like, at that time, it was probably the most prestigious one I ever took. And ever
Was
since
this
then,
Indian
Had
Hill?
you
Yeah.
attempted it
Oh,
before
okay.
then?
oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And of course, not that I attributed it to the bike, but I don't know. It just stuck in my head that, oh my God, this bike. I mean, because it was light, right? It was rim brake. It felt so good. But I've had a similar experience on the Tarmac SL7 I had, S-Works. I had the Cannondale System 6 that was, a heavy aero bike, yet, I won cores on that, the hilly race, and didn't even notice it as being heavy, right? So I don't know. It's really tough.
It's the answer you gave is not what I thought. I think the consistent thing is because you've been on S-Works and then just like the pro frames, like
Yeah, I've had 2 SL7 right.
yeah. And so I'm like, I kind of am hearing a pattern of S-Works bikes, not
Yeah.
necessarily like specialized bikes, but like that next tier up carbon.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
I mean, I think tires and rims are.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
wheels,
do you remember of the bikes that you've really enjoyed? What's because now you do a lot of like just swapping out frames. So kind of what kind of specs do you like going with?
Lightly cheap.
Okay.
I've been rocking Rival.
Okay.
Yeah, and one buy for
Okay.
probably 3 years now.
You're
and,
you're a big one by
and
guy.
where we live,
Yeah.
one buy is totally fine. Like,
Okay.
I mean, there's times where maybe I can't, I guess, stay in like a lower zone up a climb when I want to or need to. But for the most part, I don't know. I just like it.
Why do you like
easy.
one by so much?
Yeah.
Is it just the extra, like when you're on the flats, like that extra speed? What is it that you love?
Some of it's just because, like, if you think about 2x gearing, there's some gears that you don't even use, right? Otherwise, you're cross training. Sure. And when I think about how I ride, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna, when I had a 2x, I was like, it was 52-36, I think. I was like, I hardly ever used my 36, like almost never. And that's why I'm like, why do I even have this, right? And then you hear about drop chains, and it's like just something else to think about. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I could see myself going back, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I really like it.
Do you have a wheel set that you've really gravitated
Ooh.
towards?
The Rovals were pretty nice.
Okay.
The Rapides, I really like those.
Okay.
I did just get the new Zip Explorer wheel set, which are for all gravel. I mean, you can use them on the road, but they're like really wide.
What are they? 25 internal?
No, 32.
Internal?
Yeah.
Really?
Those are mountain bike tires.
Yeah.
Jeez.
What's the external?
It's a good question. I'm not sure they advertise it.
I'm just trying to picture a 32 internal.
Is
It's
this the
crazy.
picture
I
that
can
you
put
sent
two
earlier?
fingers.
So this
Yes,
is
yeah.
What are they? So I know Zips, but I don't know their gravel series. Is it 303s?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
303
303 Explorers.
Explorers.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're the new ones they just released.
Interesting.
So.
Okay.
And I'm going to throw some, actually not on that wheels, but I have some 40 millimeter road tires Pirelli just released that I'm going to put on another wheel set to run on the road. So you'll see that at Tuesday Night Worlds. I can't wait.
Okay.
Love it.
But yeah, I mean, as Greg knows, that I've gone through so many bikes that.
Yeah.
I mean, that tells you that I don't have a favorite. I haven't really kept one.
But no,
because they're all so good.
That kind of helps. They're pretty marginal, it seems.
Oh yeah, I mean, the only ones I haven't owned are I think BMC and Pinarello. I think I haven't had any of their bikes.
You should try to make it a goal then.
Yeah.
To just
Yeah, you should actually.
It's funny.
ride those bikes.
Yeah, I've always liked the BMC, but they're so expensive.
So are Pinarello.
Yeah, but I've never liked the Pinarellos. I just think they're ugly. However, they're starting to grow on me. And
Okay.
And the kid I was telling you about this weekend, he has a Pinarello.
Okay.
And I was looking at it. It was in the garage.
Okay.
Because he stayed with our another teammate of ours.
I think they look so unique compared to everything that's out there.
Yeah, it's true.
So, but I've heard they're very harsh. So
Yeah,
I don't know. You got to get one so you can let us know.
What's your biggest pet peeve in cycling today?
Ooh, I don't know. That's a good question. Oh, actually, I will. Guys not supporting local races. So we just had
say more. Okay.
Yeah, we just had the state road race. Now it was up around Cleveland, but it's a state championship road race, and very few guys from Cincinnati came. Very disappointing. Yeah.
Next year I'm going to do it. If I wasn't already committed to Coors, I'm going to do that.
Do you
next year.
think it'd be more reasonable to make state championship road races near the capitals of the states because they're kind of more central?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah,
Because I think
it would draw more people.
Or Cincinnati to Cleveland, that's like
It's a
almost 4 hours.
It's a 4 hour trek.
It was 3 hours.
Okay, but
Yeah.
still, like that's
It is
whereas
far.
like Columbus is only like an hour and 45 minutes from
Yeah.
Cincinnati. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I feel like that should be a thing.
Yeah, we had it outside of Columbus 2 years ago, and it did have a better turnout. But I don't know. There's people in the community that complain about we don't have road races, but then we have a road race and they don't even support it.
show
And it's
up.
like,
That's fair.
Yeah,
That's fair.
makes sense.
Okay, let's jump real quick to a couple things happening in the world of cycling. So, real big one. I mean, I don't feel like this was breaking news. It was so rumored,
No.
but Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe signs Remco Evenepoel for next season officially. You have any thoughts on that?
I'm wondering if he's going to be a super domestique.
For Lipowitz?
Yeah.
Ooh, no way.
I almost think he should.
I think the general consensus is that he should.
That's a
but
different question.
Yeah.
Should he? Yes, but like, if
Will
you're-
he?
Will he?
Does he have? Yeah. I mean, he would.
Because
I mean, here's
is
the-
Lipowitz's contract? When is his contract up?
I think he just signed. didn't
Yeah,
he?
he's
he
fresh.
just okay.
When's the real question is when is Primo's is up?
Yeah.
Well,
He needs to be a super domestique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of
I love the guy. But
he kind of was this year until
Yeah.
the last like 2 days, and he was like, "I'm just gonna do whatever."
I mean, Remco. Here's the thing: he's still so young. Even if he supported Lipowitz for a season or two, it's not like he's not going to get fit from that.
Yeah.
But I just feel like he's, it can't be good on his psyche to go into these, the tour thinking he's going to win and then have a disaster.
Yes.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
because let's be honest, he on one hand doesn't have anything to prove, I would say. I mean, he's Olympic champion.
Volta.
Yep. And
World
then
champion.
World champion. He's got time trial. I mean, like, I don't know. I'm not sure if he's a 3-week stage racer.
I think that's very fair assessment. I don't know. I go back and forth on Remco. There's times where I'm like, he's great. Then times where like, I feel like he's kind of overrated. And I've realized I think overrated is too harsh. I think he's inconsistent.
Yeah.
And that's where it goes back to what you're saying about the 3-week stage races. what was it the Giro like 2 years ago where he lost 30 minutes in one stage?
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, now he's just going to go race for stages. Like,
you know what's interesting if you think about it? What's his background? Do you guys know?
Soccer,
right?
Yeah. He was a soccer guy.
I mean, soccer guys are fit, but they're also explosive.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe he doesn't have the muscle fiber makeup to do 3 weeks of racing, right? Like that. I don't know.
I mean,
he got
lost
third last year in the Tour, though. I mean, that's
true.
not nothing.
That's true.
I mean, he's proven that he can compete at the world stage, which I think obviously put him in that next category of everybody thinking like, oh, it's Tadej, Jonas, and then like, okay, now you have Remco and everybody else. But this year, obviously now with Lipowitz and Oscar Onley, where it's like those two guys are now in that same conversation with Remco, where it's like you have this next tier, but what do you do if you're Red Bull? Because Lipowitz did really well, and he's really young. Mm-hmm. So give him another super domestique, and man, he could be,
I also wonder if this is part of the strategy with these really strong teams is to just put the expression, put too many cooks in the kitchen. Like when you look at UAE, if Tadej is not on that team, their roster is still stacked with potential GC guys.
Oh,
Same thing for Visma. Like if you take out Jonas, everybody is waiting for Jorgensen to take a shot. They've always kind of run two leaders back when they had Primos. So I feel like a lot of these teams that have they just seem to have a lot of depth to them, and that kind of seems to be part of the story of success. I mean, think of like the years that former Team Sky, now Ineos, just dominated in the 2010s. They had Wiggins, and then they immediately went to Froome. Froome had a bad year, and it was Geraint Thomas. The next year was Bernal. And it's like so many guys that could go win a 3-week stage race. So I don't know, maybe that's the strategy. It's just we're just going to kind of get as much talent as we can and see what sticks. I mean,
I think it's smart on them to do it because at the same, obviously the rumor was that Remco wasn't happy, but I think it's smart because who else is going to compete with Tadej and Jonas? I mean, that is literally the Tour. It's 1-2 and then everybody else. And so if you're a team that's in that category of you could be on the podium, put everybody on the table and be like, let's just try and grab as many people, and trying to compete in that way. So it makes sense because
I think what's even crazy about those top two guys, even though we were starting with Red Bull, if you take Tadej out of the equation, Jonas is a 5-time Tour de France, 5 consecutive Tour de France champion. And everybody was commenting on how dominant Tadej was last year and this year. Once again, take him out, Jonas beat Lipowitz by 6-7 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's like
it's really not even close.
Yeah, it's these two guys that are just seem to be a tier ahead of everybody else. Yeah. But I don't know. It's definitely a lot of younger talent coming in. I know we were talking about this. I think we were talking about this. I know I was thinking this. I don't know because Geraint Thomas, this was his last tour. And he has said, there's no way that my career could last as long as it did by today's training regiment, where he's like, they measure their food, like everything is so dialed. He's like, I could not get a 17-year or whatever he got, however long he did. I don't know. It just seems like Tadej's already announced he might retire in 3 years. I'm like, he won't even be 30 years old. So that's crazy to me. Last topic is this was announced either this week or last week. DT Swiss recalls their wheels. So a massive list here of wheels affected at DT Swiss. So they recall the ERC, CRC, HEC, and the ARC or the ARC models. They've also got some carbon wheels on the Swiss side, Hadron. I've never heard of them, but I guess they're like I've heard of them. They develop in DT Swiss's factories. But basically, any of those wheels from 2024 on have been a stop ride notice has been issued. DT Swiss is claiming that they've had some incidents of delamination, which is similar to the Shimano recall where the material's kind of pulling away. So we'll put this image up on the B-roll, but basically the carbon rim at the external is kind of looks like it's pulling away from where the hook is in the bead line. And so I think what's really crazy. So
do they know why this happens? Like, how does that happen?
I don't know, because they're more recent wheels. So I guess it would just be something in the way the carbon is
laid up. Yeah.
Yeah, laid up. I was going to use the word bonded, but that's not the right word. Just
that's interesting.
Fused together. So if your wheel is impacted, the recall process will include returning your wheels to DT Swiss, where they will implement a quality test designed to identify wheels that are problematic. DT Swiss claims that the test requirements exceed the specifications of the relevant industry standard, and they're referencing ISO 4210 series. If the wheel passes the test, the wheels will be labeled as safe and returned to the consumer. If the wheel fails the test, a new wheel of the same type will be delivered. So what do we think about this? It's a lot of bikes.
Kudos to them, I guess, for, I mean, I guess they have to, right?
By standing by it.
Yeah. And, but yeah, that's a lot of wheels.
It's and it's not just their wheel, but it's like,
those are the wheels that come on a lot of the Canyons.
Yes, pretty much all of Canyon's lineup from 2024 on are like, I'm looking at the affected bikes and it's just Canyon.
Man, the process, like, imagine how many wheels they're going to get. Like, I can't imagine you getting your wheels back. It's going to be, 3-4 months maybe?
Didn't we have somebody in a group text that did send their DT Swiss wheels? Because that was the first instance I heard of it, and then I was like, wait, what? And then that's when we started looking into it.
It was our Sunday cafe ride.
Yeah.
Someone, I don't have that person's number.
I know. We don't know. There's bazillion people in that
text. It has
thread.
Grown. So.
Well, that's got to be such a headache for them. That's a headache for the cyclists that are using it, because if I had DT Swiss wheels, A, I'm pissed about it, and then B, I'm sending it back, trying to be in that realm of like, I might not have immediate backup wheels, so what do you do?
Exactly.
It's like, okay, I don't want to be unsafe, and yet I want to like get this fixed and get it back in a timely manner. I mean, you would hope it'd come back in a reasonable time frame, but man, if you don't have a backup plan or a plan B for that, that can really screw you over.
I'll tell you, I've always appreciated having 2 wheel sets. It saved me so much hassle. Like,
yep.
Because, you
just never know.
I mean, this is like, I'm assuming DT Swiss is paying for the shipping for this, right? Or do you have to?
I would think
I don't know.
So you would kind of mention this when I was asking you about it. So where it's similar and different than the Shimano cranks. So the Shimano cranks that were delamination where they kind of peeled, but you didn't send those to Shimano.
Right.
You would just take those to your shop.
Yeah, and they just look at them. Like, there's no testing.
Okay.
So, like, to me, that is more like, okay, it's not delaminated now, but is it going to do it?
Are you talking
next
for the
week?
cranks?
Yeah, for the cranks.
Yeah.
Whereas the wheels, as you read, they're actually testing them to see, okay, are these going to withstand whatever the pressures, So that, I feel like if they send me my wheels, I'm like, okay, these are gold, these are good.
Yeah. I would feel, I would agree with you. I'd feel so much more comfortable having DT Swiss affirm, hey, your wheels are fine, versus a shop and be like, yeah, they're all right. Yeah.
Is this what Shimano should have done?
Possibly. I mean, they had a lot of cranksets affected, right?
But I mean, I'm looking at this list. This is just the bikes. These aren't even how people just go online and buy a set of wheels. Like, these are a lot of wheel sets.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So I'm like, man, like, maybe this is going to set the gold standard for what a recall should look like.
I wonder if they require proof of purchase too. Because what if you bought DT Swiss secondhand? Because I've always thought about buying a set, because I have a buddy that swears by them, like, as far as being fast.
I see, even if they're secondhand, I feel like, how is that any different than buying a car secondhand that gets recalled? My car was secondhand and it's been recalled for things, and I had to take it into the shop and they're like, oh yeah, we'll fix it. So I feel like that would be a nightmare for PR or liability to go, oh, your bike is secondhand. We can't look at these wheels that we stand behind.
Yeah. I don't know how that works. That's interesting. Yeah. I don't want to be on staff for DT Swiss at the moment.
Yeah.
I wonder if the guys at Zip and Envy are like, we're ahead of this curve. Because don't they do like lifetime like replacement?
They do for Zip.
Yeah.
And doesn't
for crash.
I think
Envy has a lifetime maybe manufacturer
I thought it was also if you crash them.
Yeah, maybe.
Just
On the
like
Envies?
Zip. Yeah, I think so. So like if you are crash, they just go,
If you rock Envy wheels, let us know.
Here's a new front wheel. You crashed it in a race.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm curious to see what comes of this because people were pissed about the Shimano cranks for a long time. Like there was a lot of fallout, and Shimano took a lot of bad press for that. So I wonder if DT Swiss kind of looked at them and go, let's learn from their mistakes.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Well, Derek, thank you for coming on. Man, this has been fun. We want to hear from you guys. Let us know your thoughts around AI coaching versus hiring a regular coach. Do you prefer AI? Have you used TrainerRoad? Have you used ROUVY? Let us know your experience. Or have you been like us where you've used an amazing coach like Derek and you've had a tremendous experience? We'd love to hear your guys' takes on this. Thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, I want to add one more. Hang on. I want to add one. Also, let us know if you are affected by this DT Swiss recall.
True.
And what the directions have been for you, and I want to know about the wait times. So if you have been affected and you have to send your wheels in, can you please comment what the estimated wait time is and what you are doing to ride your bike if you have no wheels?
That's great. Yeah. You can vent towards us, just not at us.
We don't work for DT Swiss.
We're not responsible.
But also thank you, Derek, for coming on. This has been a blast. We definitely want to have you back at some point in the future.
Yeah. All right. We will see you guys next week.
See ya.